don't know. I keep saying I'm almost bored with making fun of Dave Rubin at this point, but it still brings people a lot of joy. So let's share some joy. Also, the prediction markets on this have been high for a long time. That, Dave Rubin, whose whole original thing was apparently that he was upset about how the Young Turks treated Sam Harris.
Dude,
that was
a lot of money in religious people.
Yes, but now we are not talking about atheism and secularism anymore. Now, Dave is putting on his religious cap.
Fairly obvious to me over the last couple of years, speaking to many of the people who you've talked to, from Sam Harris and Steven Pinker and Michael Shermer and Jordan Peterson and the rest, that there has to be empirical truths outside of us that set order in the universe. One of the reasons we're seeing such chaos out of the left is that secularism run rampant. It gives you what the left is. It gives you people with a completely competing set of ideas, often that have nothing to do with reality, just based on how they feel at any moment. And the reason they're constantly destroying each other is because, well, okay, I feel $15 minimum wage is right, so I'm morally good. Then the next person comes and says the $20 thing, and then they're morally good. Now you got to cut them down, and there's a million versions of this we could go through. The founders of the United States talked about God-given rights. The United States does not make me free. I was born free. You are born free as a human being, whether you want to call it a God-given right or it's your birthright as a human being. The government can protect your rights. It should protect your rights, and it can take those rights away. But it did not make me free. And the real reason that I came around to this, which I know is very much in line with what you believe, and it's very much certainly in line with what Jordan believes,
Shapiro,
is that it's the only thing that over generations has allowed us to set some sort of order to the bad ideas of the day. So when there's a certain set of crew, the liberals of today, let's say, who all believe it all happened at the Enlightenment. And it's like, yeah, a lot of great ideas happened from the Enlightenment, right? Free thought and open inquiry. And a lot of the stuff that I talk about all the time about the individual, although you in your last book, you talk about how the roots of that also came from Greek culture and from Jerusalem. But the point is that it took churning of ideas for thousands of years to get to the Enlightenment. So to say it all started there strikes me as very thin. And when we live in a time right now where postmodernism is so hot, and the ideas that the time-tested bad ideas of the past, of socialism and communism, somehow are becoming cool again, it seems to me that the secular world has no way of countering it. That's why liberalism has been decimated by the progressives.
I gotta say, order a copy of Against the Web, Cosmopolitan Answer to the New Right, where we talk about the global roots of, as an example, a notion of human rights, that not only that aspirations are universal and generated in multiple contexts, as an example. I don't know what to say. I mean, Dave Rubin still insists on talking about things as if he's able to talk about them. And I guess it's still pretty funny.
I mean, I got to say, if Sam Harris, Steve Pinker, and Michael Shermer were the representatives of secularism to me, I would be Muslim, just practicing Orthodox Muslim.
That's totally right. Yeah. Those guys are enough to make anyone. Yeah, absolutely. Religious people are better than those guys for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think if we review the tapes, I said Dave Rubin's got maybe about a year before he turns into a Jew for Jesus, because he's hanging out with so many of those types.
I remember that. Yeah.
Being a Jew for Jesus might be the only way of controlling the ideas that are bad. There's a lot of ideas that a Jew for Jesus can counter, and I talk about them as ideas that are good from, the Enlightenment and whatnot. But if you're a Jew for Jesus, then somehow it isn't cool to do that. I also like now it's like he's conflated. Like now it's like, I mean, of course he's going to confuse Marxism and postmodernism because that's like the Jordan Peterson shtick.
Yeah.
But like now it's like there's a problem with the Enlightenment, and somehow that like he's so actually legitimately taking three.
He's having
things.
A breakdown.
He's taking three. Like those are really discrete. Like
right.
Marxism as the fulfillment, the making the Enlightenment substantive, right? In a way. Then there's like postmodernism, questioning meta narratives, which would implicate the Enlightenment and Marxism. Like, you know, and it's not to say, look, there are people, I definitely meet people who say they're Marxists or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't totally sound like that to me, but whatever. The point is like, Dave talking about these things as if he could even make it through a Wikipedia entry. I guess in 2020, even with everything going on and even as much as it's sort of a dead topic, it's still pretty funny. Because he's an absolute moron.
It's like, it seems like Dave Rubin, to me, it's just like when he talks, I'm like, I feel like a core curriculum, like teaching assistant at a college. And I'm like, why don't you just pick one, stick with that, and we'll see the next draft, basically.
How about you talk about why being a Jew for Jesus solves the problem of the Enlightenment?
Look.
And we'll take postmodernism and Marxism next time.
In terms of a business proposition, the second that he stops, getting teenage and 20-year-old YouTube subs, making the pivot to like a religious grifter is probably going to be the best business sense he can do.
Yeah,
that's true. But I mean,
absolutely.
These guys like Prager, knows his Torah a little bit. I mean, it's just like, this actually is good proof for people who talk about religion in such a simplistic way that like, whatever you think of religion, it actually does require more to talk about it publicly than just be like, religion's good.
I just want feudalist.
Like the Enlightenment.
I want feudalist Dave Rubin, who's like, we were able to contain ideas a lot better back then. We had like drawbridges, and just keep the ideas out. Keep them out.
There was moat that kept the bad ideas away.
He's not that many degrees separated from the Dark Enlightenment people, so you never know. Some of these people, they want to make feudalism great again.
Absolutely.
Feudalist Dave Rubin. I was like writing down notes when he was talking about Enlightenment principles and my critique of the bourgeois concept of natural rights. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I can't argue with this person. It's like arguing with a child. Like his points don't make any sense.